You ever hear a 6-year-old ask a millionaire, if you could trade your leftovers for a miracle, would you do it? I can make you walk again. Most folks would laugh it off, right? Well, I did. I laughed. But that night everything changed. It was one of those bone-cold December nights, snow piling up outside my window, just swallowing the world whole. My house more like a museum, full of fancy things, but dead quiet looked out onto the emptiest stretch of white you've ever seen. I sat alone in my chair, that chair, the one that's been glued to me for 20 years since the day my legs quit on me and my old life ended. Used to be, I had everything a beautiful wife, money for days, friends who'd toast my name. After the accident, all that faded. Folks stopped calling. My wife packed up and left. Mom still called sometimes, but we just talk around the real stuff. Truth is, I'd gotten used to being a ghost in my own house. That night, I was staring into the dark, wishing for a miracle or maybe just a reason to get up in the morning, when I heard Ida knock. Soft but steady, like someone refusing to let the world ignore them. I rolled myself to the door, ready to yell at some lost delivery guy. Instead, there she was, this tiny girl, skin dark as night, eyes bright as stars, shivering in some thin old coat that looked like it had seen 3 winters too many. She looked me right in the eye and said, "Mister, you got any leftovers? I'm real hungry." You know what I mean when I say her honesty just punched right through me? She didn't see my wheelchair or my fancy house. She just saw a man, and she was hungry. I asked her name. "Jasmine," she said, chin up like she owned the moment. "Me and my mom live across the street. She works real late. Some folks said rich people always got food to spare." I let her in, warmed her up with some food. But then she did something no one had in years. She asked what I needed. "You want me to help you walk again?" she said, dead serious. I laughed at first, told her, "Kid, there ain't a doctor in this world can fix these legs." But her eyes, she really believed she could do it. "If you feed me, I'll help you," she said, like that's just how things work. Something about her faith made me want to say yes, even if I didn't believe it. She handed me this little wilted flower, her way of saying thank you. That night, I slept lighter than I had in years. Next morning, I told Sophia, my housekeeper, about Jasmine. Sophia frowned, said, "You can't trust those kids from that side of the street. They'll take what they can." It stung, hearing that old poison. But I saw something in Jasmine that Sophia couldn't. That afternoon, Jasmine was back, another flower in hand, same smile. "Does it hurt?" "Not walking?" she asked. I couldn't lie. "It's been 20 years, I said. She nodded, then placed her tiny hand on my knee, eyes closed, whispering, "I'm sending love and hope. That's what my mama says helps." I felt something. Not a miracle, not at first, but warmth. A crack in the ice I'd wrapped around my heart. You ever meet someone who changes the temperature in a room? That was Jasmine. Pretty soon her mama, Margaret, showed up at my door. Fierce eyes, tough as nails. "You the one who fed my girl?" she demanded. I saw the fear in her eyes, the fear of a world that's been cruel to women like her, and a child she died to protect. I told her everything, straight up. She checked my house top to bottom before she'd let Jasmine stay. We made a deal. No charity, just trust. If ever they felt unwelcome, they'd leave with heads held high. Life shifted after that. Margaret moved in, helped keep the house running, made meals that tasted like home. Jasmine filled the halls with laughter, dared me to try and move my legs just a little. Each time she'd touch my knee, I'd feel a tingle. I thought I was imagining things, until one night my foot twitched for the first time in decades. The doctors couldn't explain it. Said maybe it was all in my head. But I knew better. Miracles don't come from nowhere, they come from people who refuse to let you stay broken. But the world outside wasn't ready to let us be. Neighbors whispered. Hate mail started piling up. My old friends vanished. Then came the real stormy ex-wife, Diana, took me to court, swearing Margaret and Jasmine were after my money. Even Sophia, who'd been with my family for years, sided against us, feeding lies to Diana's lawyer. It felt like everything I'd built, every inch of trust, was about to come crashing down. The trial was a circus, tabloids everywhere, folks digging through her trash for dirt. They even put Jasmine on the witness stand. Imagine that 6 years old, facing down a room full of adults who think the worst of her. She just said, "All I ever gave Mr. Robert was a flower. That's all he ever needed." For the first time, people saw what I'd seen: the courage, the faith, the simple hope of a child who believed in something better. When the judge asked me to stand and prove what I could do, I gripped the arms of my chair and prayed. Jasmine grinned from the front row, whispering, "You can do it." Inch by inch, I stood up. My knees shook. The room held its breath. I took a step, then another. The silence broke into applause, and for the first time in 20 years, I walked toward my family not just because of science, but because love gave me the courage to try. The case collapsed. Margaret and Jasmine were cleared. Our story went viral. Folks from all over sent letters, flowers, apologies. People who'd sneered now lined up to shake our hands. Jasmine became a symbol. Schools wanted her to talk about hope and fighting prejudice. Margaret finally let herself believe she belonged here, not as a guest, but as family. That spring, I asked Margaret to marry me, right there in the kitchen. She said yes, tears and all. Jasmine squealed. Ellie and Ormy Mom hugged them both. Even the old neighbors changed their tune, sending flowers and messages of support. On our wedding day, I walked Margaret down the aisle. Jasmine scattered petals, beaming like she'd invented happiness. The community came together not for a show, but for a reckoning. We all stood up and owned our mistakes. Folks apologized. People hugged us. The story made headlines, but for us, it was just the start. Now, every morning I walk the garden with Margaret and Jasmine, not caring what anyone thinks. Sophia's gone. Diana's lost her fight. Eleanor's found peace. We're still different colors, different pasts, but we're family. And yeah, maybe that's the real miracle. Learning to trust, learning to love, daring to forgive. Maybe it's time we all asked ourselves, what would you trade for a miracle? And would you recognize one if it came knocking at your door? So what do you think? Would you open your door? Or just keep staring out at the snow? If this story hit you, don't forget to like, share, and tell me what you think about justice, about family, about second chances. I'll be right here listening.